Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge here with Tuesday Cardfight Vanguard Reveals. Today we have the silhouette stuff, and I don't think there's really anything else of note that's happening today. I think it's just silhouette stuff. Let's get into it. Alright, let's go over the cards of the day first that we've got the last couple days. So here's some Cater Sanctuary cards of the day. We have this grade 3 that is untargetable if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and you don't have any other rears. It also gets power plus 5k, which isn't too bad if we had a deck that enabled that. It's a nice that does a bit more than just have the not chosen effect. But that is the sort of thing you play. But it has like a niche in if we ever get a deck that plays like that, which we really don't have at the moment. But um and then we have Ultrasome Eagle, which is when your other high beast enters the rear and you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you can return this to the bottom of your deck. And during this turn, the unit that entered gets power plus 5k. This would be solid in a deck that is calling high beast mid battle for its multi attack. But as I recall, the Tamer deck that we got, Houndraiser, does restanding and back row attacks for its multi attacks. So it doesn't really line up there. A bit weird. Or was it 4 attacks? It doesn't even do restanding. I don't even remember. Then we have yesterday's cards of the day. So this first card is actually maybe a real card. So it's when this attacks a grade 3 or greater and you have played in order this turn, you EB3 during the battle of this unit. Your opponent must call 2 or more at the same time when calling from hand onto Guardian Circle. So notably, you pay it once and you get this guard restriction for the entire turn. So let's say this is in a deck like Sibyl. You attack with it first, pre-Vanguard. You mentally polluted it, so it's a bit bigger. Maybe has the restanding booster behind it. So it's swinging for pre-Persona Ride. That's swinging for what, 28 with this restriction. And then you swing with Sibyl, restand it, and it swings again with the Baldor effect still, which is pretty cool. This could end up being real in the type of deck I'm thinking is a deck that restands its front row rear guards, and that's how it gets its multi attack. And also increases power. Actually, let me check something real quick. Okay, yeah, this is what I want to check. So Durkham for Gandiva, it's the effect it gives your Vanguard to one of your rears to restand after your Vanguard attacks, can be given to any rear. So Gandiva has really good scaling, and with this can just restand any rear. So maybe it could be something there, but you'd have to be using an order every turn. The conditions for this card to be good are fairly specific, but I do think you can possibly get there. Getting a Baldor effect across 2 attacks is something that not much can really do in standard right now. So this did catch my eye, this effect. And then the grade 1 is just once per turn when this unit boosts and you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with a clan icon, soul charge 1. Then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this gets power plus 5k. I think we saw this in another nation already this set. Just a 13k booster that soul charges 1, not super great. Actually, I think this is the same effect that the Direful Doll had. But it's not super great. But could be all right somewhere. It is stealth. So everything I care is about that. It lines up with. But yeah. Let us get into the silhouette stuff. So first up, they have eroded the grade 2 ride line because the grade 2 ride line for silhouette specified the exact name of the original grade 3 silhouette. So they've eroded it to now work with any grade 3 with silhouette in its card name. Really cool that they're willing to do this. I hope they will do this more in the future so that they can update ride lines and stuff. Really appreciated. Just going, okay, yeah, we made a mistake when we originally printed this. We didn't future-proof it. We're just gonna rot it, so it is now future-proofed. That's neat. Then they also announced that we're getting brawlers in this set as one of the encounters. Um, I'm not I'm I'm not sure where this positions me when it comes to the second Dark States deck that we're probably getting in this set. Might still be a mod, but I feel like the chance of that go down a bit because we now have 2 encounters getting supported in the deck that aren't a mod. This is kind of really bad for the prospects of Sibyl and Vergilla support. They'll probably just end up being double rare. But this is probably going to take up both of the Dragon Empire triple rare slots. Maybe only one. Maybe it'll just be one and Vergilla gets the other one and then Sibyl gets a double rare. I could see that. I could see that happening. Yeah, brawlers are pretty cool. They get a lot of crossover with the Vermilion support does, which is pretty cool. Bellicossi is just a very, very good card in general. And I'm very excited to see more D-Legion stuff because anything that pulls us away from Persona Ride, I'm pretty happy about. And I like Legion quite a lot, actually. So let's get into Silhouette. So the new Grade 3 Silhouette is act once per turn. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can Soul Blast Machinery's Factory, which is the set order. Let me remind myself what it does exactly, but I know it sends itself to Soul after doing something. Okay, yeah, Machinery's Factory is you tap it, look top 7, and dump an Armed Arms there if you don't already have a copy of it in the drop, and add to hand if you do. If you add to hand, it shoves itself to Soul. It also has the effect to shove itself to Soul when your opponent's at grade 3 or greater. To call back 2 different Armed Arms from your drop, which is pretty good. So when your opponent's on grade 3 or greater, you can Soul Blast one of them to give it the effect that all of your Armed Arms get power plus 5k, which is pretty good because those should be involved in all your attacks because the attack pattern should be you attack with 2 arms on rear, they come onto your Vanguard, which is now benefiting from the plus 5k bonus to the Armed Arms, then they split off again. Then once per turn, at the start of your attack step, you Soul Blast 1, choose up to 2 of your rears with different names and arms in their name and attach them to this unit. And then after this unit's, at the end of this unit's battle, you take one of your unit's arms to this unit and put into rear at stand. And if I recall correctly, there's a back row rear guard that at the end of your Vanguard's attack lets you take another Armed Arms and put into your rear guard at stand. So that's how you get your 5 attacks. Let me compare this directly to the original grade 3. Okay, yeah, so the second and third effect are just identical to what original Silhouette had. The first effect is the only addition, and it's a pretty solid addition. That's going to account for like plus 30k power across your turn, which is pretty nice. And there's no Counterblast cost on this, which is nice because some of the Armed Arms do have Counterblast costs that you do want to be dumping those into. So it's pretty nice. This is a pretty solid upgrade. As long as you're able to reliably get this bonus online, because that is going to be giving you a lot of extra power. Then we have, this is a new triple rare, somewhat kind of generic, but like also Armed Arms specific support. When it's placed on rare, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You add up to 1 non-Regalis piece order to your hand and shuffle your deck. And then you pay the cost after, and it's either you Energy Blast 3 or you put a card from hand into Soul. So in the case of Silhouette, you get to go, okay, I'm going to look top 5, trying to find machineries. If I don't find anything, I don't have to pay any cost, which is super, super nice. Any of these like top X checkers that are like fairly likely to miss, when you don't have to pay any actual cost for them if they whiff, it's really, really ideal. And then if you just wanna, if you don't need to fill board and you're just like, well, here's this machineries, I just need it installed. You just chuck it directly in Soul and you have the fodder for the effect. And that kind of option is just generally pretty strong because it lets you filter for free. Just pretty nice. I imagine this will see some play in other Brand Gate decks as well because this part of the card is just completely generic, and there's plenty of rank 8 decks I would appreciate an effect like that, I think. The second effect is exclusive to Armed Arms. You counterblast 1, choose and call a card with Armed Arms and its card name from your drop onto rear. So if you need to fill board, this just helps you fill board a bit, which is pretty nice, because you do need that double Armed Arms for the deck to really function. Then we have the new arms, left strong and right strong and left strong. I'm gonna go over left strong first because that's the order I saw when I originally saw these. So when it attacks and you have a Vanguard with Silo in its name, you counterblast 1 and either draw a card, or if this is attached with strong left and strong right, you look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, add 1 to hand, put 1 to soul, return the rest of them off the deck, which is very strong filter effect. That's just the what's it called? The Australia support card. That crazy Australia support card from DZ2. That's just that effect, which is really, really nice. And when it intercepts and you have a grade 3 or greater silhouette Vanguard, it gets shield plus 5k. So it's a 10k intercept, which is super, super nice defensively. Of course, very notable. If like it's costing a counterblast, like makes it difficult to do this, but you can't just triple dip on this effect. Like because it's going to attack on its own, and then it's going to be part of your Vanguard's attack, and then it is going to be split off and attack again. So you have 3 different opportunities to proc this effect, which is super nice. If you just have the counterblast available, or if you're just running like Brankgate's like generic countercharge stuff like a Bubble Mine to help fuel this, it's like, oh, I can just off this single card, I can dump my counterblast into it and go +3, which is super good. And if you're doing you can only do this second mode once a turn, thankfully. If you could do that 3 times a turn, that would be insane, because you'd be filtering your deck by 6 in a single turn. That'd be really, really crazy. But you're not quite allowed to do that, but it's still quite strong. Quite a nice card, I think. If you can feed that counterblast requirement. Then armed right, strong right is a double rare. If it's attached with strong left and strong arm, this unit gets critical +1. So it makes your Vanguard a 2 crit swing, and it's already swinging for massive, massive numbers. I'm pretty sure it already had the ability to swing for 2 crit, but this is pretty nice all the same. And then when this unit attacks on Vanguard or rear, and you have a silhouette Vanguard, during this battle, it gets power plus 5k, and then you can also counterblast 1 to retire an opponent's rear. So that's another thing you can dump your counterblast into, of just nuking your opponent's board, like, because again, you can trigger this effect 3 times in a single turn. So like if you have the counterblast to spare, you can just take out whatever you want. And then when this unit intercepts and you have, it's the same effect as the strong left, where it intercepts and you have a grade 3 or greater silhouette Vanguard, it gets shield plus 5k, so it's just a 10k intercept, which is pretty alright, pretty nice. Yeah, that's it for the silhouette stuff. Pretty nice upgrades. Silhouette's Vanguard swing is always going to be very, very scary, and this effect represents a lot of extra power. I know there's already ways in Silhouette to give this sort of power spread. So like you can stack them together, and that's very strong. But yeah. And then lastly, we have next week, Tuesday is going to be the Monster Strike stuff, because there's a Monster Strike collab in this set. I will probably not be covering next week because of this, because like we are almost certainly never getting these cards in English. So I'm like, because we've never gotten to the other Monster Strike cards, they're not gonna just import these ones. Very unlikely. So like I'll just skip next week. I'll just skip next Tuesday. I imagine next Thursday is when we'll get a last goal. So I'll talk about that when we get it. But with that said, this is Hunter Surge signing off.